Okay, Craig, thank you. Breaking at noon, Newport News Commonwealth attorney just wrapped up a press conference about the 8 felony charges against Ebony Parker. Parker is the former assistant principal of Richneck Elementary School and is accused of ignoring multiple warnings about the 6-year-old child who shot his teacher, Abby Zwerner, last year. Emily Harrison is live in Newport News right now. And Emily, the Commonwealth's attorney had a lot to say. What are you learning?
He certainly did. Howard Gwynn, Newport News Commonwealth's attorney, did not mince words about the 30-page report from the grand jury that detailed Ebony Parker's actions or lack thereof, as Gwynn said repeatedly that the report speaks for itself. Gwynn says the grand jury specifically requested that the report be made public. In it, the grand jury indicted Ebony Parker 8 times on felony child abuse and neglect for every bullet in the child's gun. Gwynn called the report, quote, brutally honest, and says he has the same questions about a series of missing documents about the child's recorded behavioral problems and schooling. Ebony Parker appeared before a judge early this morning alongside her attorney, Curtis Rogers. She did not say a word beyond answering the judge's questions, as she could face up to 40 years in prison for allegedly ignoring several warnings by teachers and students. Gwynn says he hopes this report and charges will bring some level of peace to Abby Zwerner and every Richneck Elementary School family.
I think the statement that we make to Abby and also to the parents particularly is that we hear you. We hear you. We feel your pain. We see your trauma. And any role we can play in ensuring that that happens, then every resource in this office will be devoted to it.
Gwynn says that he invited Newport News school leaders to be there at the press conference today, but that they declined to be there. Instead, a spokeswoman with the school division put out a statement saying, quote, "We thank the special grand jury for their reports on the investigation of the January 6, 2023 Richneck Elementary School shooting and for their recommendations." Live in Newport News, I'm Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
Okay, Emily, thank you for that. As for Ebony Parker, she's expected to go back in front of a judge on May 17th. We'll have much more on Commonwealth attorneys Howard Gwynn's statements coming up on 13 News Now at 4. Meanwhile, the legal team representing the Richneck Elementary School teacher, Abby Zwerner, who was shot by her student, are responding to charges against that former school leader. That press conference is expected to begin at 1 p.m. As we just told you, former assistant principal Ebony Parker is charged with 8 counts of child neglect and appeared in court for the first time this morning. Sarah Hammond is now live in Newport News as well. Sarah, what can we expect to hear from this press conference?
Well, in about an hour, we're going to hear from Abby Zwerner's legal team in response to the grand jury's 30-page report and the indictment of Ebony Parker. A special grand jury accuses the former Richneck assistant principal of ignoring 4 warnings that the child brought a gun to school on the day of the shooting. The newly released report cites, quote, reckless disregard for human life while being responsible for students at Richneck. In a written response Wednesday, Zwerner's attorney said, quote, the grand jury report reveals a systemic failure that led to the shooting of Abby Zwerner. Most shocking is the apparent cover-up of disciplinary records before and after the shooting. In an interview with ABC, attorney Diane Toscano calls the decision a relief.
I will say it's been at least a relief for her knowing that there are things happening through the criminal justice system. You know, we saw just, I think, a couple months ago, the mother was held accountable. Today, they brought charges against the assistant principal. So we are seeing steps towards making sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
In that same interview, Toscano calls the whole ordeal heartbreaking and preventable. Live in Newport News, Sarah Hammond, 13 News Now.